Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cal Poly Wild Significance Activity. So, at the time of recording this, it is fall 2022. So, this is landing in Module 9, Reproduction, but that might change over the semesters. Nonetheless, the material will be in its respective module down here. So for us, it is the reproduction module. So if you click on the instructors only, you'll see the TA instructional guide. And if you scroll down, here we go. So Cal Poly Wild significance. So the learning objectives is we want students to interpret their results graph and hypothesize potential explanations as to why their question, their research question ended up having that results. And we want to remember that we're looking at specific data sets for specific seasons. So in this case, we're looking at winter 2022. So we're interpreting their graphs and hypothesizing potential explanations in that context. 2, we want them to connect their research question to the community of Cal Poly Pomona. And 3, relate their research question to the impacts of urbanization. So this activity aims to have students connect their research questions to the greater community. Cal Poly Wild, the project in its entirety, is trying to increase environmental literacy in a population of students that has had limited interactions with the natural world because of their majors. So environmental literacy, a reminder, is a student's or a person's knowledge, attitude, and behavior towards the environment, and their willingness and motivation to critically think about and want to solve problems. So, so we're trying to increase that in the population of students that have had limited interaction. A lot of the students in these class, they are mathematics majors or computer science. They're ag business. So they aren't like psychology, anthro majors. So they have limited interaction with the natural world. Yes, so just want to orient us on like the context of the project and what we're trying to do here. So now with the actual questions that they'll be answering, there's 4 total questions on the document that they'll be responsible for answering. And they're broken up into 2 sections. So questions 1 and 2, these are going to be focusing on the significance of their results in the context of them acting as a scientist and hypothesizing the ecology of their results. So I'll show you in the document, there is a couple of like example hypothesis. And so I recommend prompting them to look at that. It's going to direct them towards like natural history, hypothesis, ecology, abiotic interactions, things like that. So these are simple questions to help get students to think about what biotic and abiotic factors could help explain the results to their question. Additionally, because all of the instructors have a wealth of background, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to guide your students to think about the questions that could be related to your field. Essentially, if you can get your student from point A, their results, to point B, a significance, feel free to work with them how you like, and you know your students best. So case by case scenario or addressing the class altogether, how you want to work with your students is up to you. But we all have a diversity of background knowledge, and so I might just be talking about like abiotic, biotic factors, but you know your subfield best. So please encourage your students in directions that you think might be interesting to them. Questions 3 and 4, these questions are going to focus on the significance of their results in the context of urbanization. So moving from the ecology to urbanization. Here we want students to expand their thinking outside of the Voorhees Preserve. This gives students to take ownership over their project and choose a topic that they want to talk about for their species. There are questions to get them started under impacted by urbanization, same like this thing. But again, you are welcome to use your background knowledge to guide your students or help them pick a topic on urbanization. We don't want to push the class to have all negative impacts by urbanizations. So while many species are threatened by urbanization, there are others that adapt and exploit urban areas. So what I'm trying to say is that this isn't meant to be a doom and gloom way to get students to care about the environment. If positivity works better, or looking at an animal's adaptation mechanisms works better for them, totally encourage them to find solutions to the problems their species is facing, or groups of find groups that are tackling similar issues that they found their species is facing. And so logistically, this assignment will be completed on a Word document, and then students can write out their answers numbering 1 through 4, and they will upload the document to Canvas to get 10 out of the 50 points. And just a reminder of where we're at with the CPW activities. This is just a short list of the activities and the points that are assigned to them, and we are currently right here at number 6. So this is the actual CPW discussion assignment doc. I went ahead and already created a significance assignment. And so if you click on this assignment link, your students will also access the document there. And it just tells them to complete it and answer the 4 questions and upload the Word doc to Canvas. So this document, actually go ahead and download that. So this document is CPW significance. It reviews what the discussion and significance section is, what the point is. And here you expand on the results and give insight into your hypothesis, and the following points should be addressed. So here are the 4 questions that we mentioned. The first 2 focuses just on kind of like the scientist, biologist, ecologist aspect of their research question. So 1, state why you think your research question is important to you, a biologist in this class. Why do they select it? Why did that animal interest them? We want them to sort of think introspectively as to what drew them to this species. Number 2, interpret your results graph. So interpret your results graph and then hypothesize why this is the case. If they do coyotes that are active during the day, there's the trend that there's crepuscular animals. Birds, same thing, what time of day they're active or temperature, things like that. There's prompts to help generate ideas, but they should be asking their instructors because, again, you are all a wealth of knowledge with your own specialties. And so for these 2 questions, here are the prompts that I'm referring to just to get them thinking. So use of the Voorhees habitat and natural history. What do the species use as food to eat in the Voorhees sage scrub and coast oak woodland habitats? Maybe if they're looking at predator-prey interactions, or if they're nocturnal, why are they active during that time of day? Is it related to their food source? What do they use as shelter? What is your animal's natural predator prey in the preserve? What time of day is your animal typically awake and active? And common observed behaviors for your animal species. Do they mate for life? Things like that. If it interests them and it connects to they can connect it to their graph, we encourage them to do that. And the reason why is because these first 2 questions are tackling project ownership. And so a CURE, the course-based undergraduate research experience, which is Cal Poly Wild, in my research, we're basically trying to see what components attribute the most success to these cures. And it's hypothesized that project ownership is one of those. And so that is what these 2 questions are tackling. We want them to really just take ownership in their question and what direction they would want to choose regarding the ecology of their results. 3 and 4, make connections to your species outside of the forest preserve. How is your animal being portrayed or impacted in the world? And is that related to the results that they got? And second, how or connect your research question to the greater knowledge of Cal Poly Pomona. So what do you want the Cal Poly Pomona community to be aware about your species, and why should it be important to them? These are tackling environmental literacy, right, with the impact of urbanization and just how their species is being portrayed. And then the fourth question is getting at their sense of belonging at Cal Poly Pomona, and again, like the project ownership, science communication, things like that. So for these questions, here are the examples that I give just to prompt them. So impacted by urbanization, how is your species most affected by urbanization? Light pollution, trash pollution, highways, roads. Birds apparently are known to crash into windows because of light pollution. That's something interesting if a student has a bird-related question. Describe characteristics of your species that you think are unique and interesting to the public. Is your animal resilient to urbanization? Are they urban exploiters, adapters, avoiders? What's the biggest threat they're currently facing? Does the public have a particular view or stereotype of your species, like the turkey vultures? Disney has done a number on their public image. Is your species used in pop culture or media accurately? Maybe, maybe not. How does your species respond to California wildfires? Are they supposed to be in this environment? And how do they react to California's natural ecosystems? Is there a particular stakeholder or group that is interested or affiliated with your animal? So coyotes, are hunters interested in them? Conservation groups, government agencies, private organizations? I don't know. Why are they invested in your animal? Is it because of population control, recreational hunting, disease management? And then how does the forest preserve aid your species to the threats around them? And how do wildlife corridors help populations around us? So these are just suggestions of the directions they can take to answer 3 and 4. They don't have to answer every single question. Oh my gosh, please no. But we want them to take autonomy over what direction and the significance they want to do, so long as they are talking about it in the context of urbanization. So each student will individually complete this activity because each student was supposed to have had a independent research question that they answered last class. So each student will individually be submitting their assignment and receiving credits. The next step in Cal Poly Wild will be the presentation portion. And the presentation portion is where students will have the opportunity to work with each other to present one poster where they're connecting their research questions or presenting their research questions together. So that is in the next video, but that is currently it for Cal Poly Wild significance. So here they'll submit their assignment, and hopefully we'll get them to critically think about their species in the context of urbanization and Cal Poly Pomona contributing knowledge to them, and get them to think as little scientists and biologists. Thank you, everyone.